welcome in. Whoops, it's telling me to do something here. All right, welcome to another video on writing. I wanted to come welcome you in to, I like to do these writing videos to give you ideas on how to make writing fun in your classroom. And so thank you for coming in today. I know a lot of you probably have tomorrow off. I do, so you probably are not even thinking about writing, but if you are, or if you're needing some activities for next week, make sure you check this one out because I think your students will enjoy it. So today's topic is on sequencing and writing. And I like this topic because you can do so much with it. You can tie it into science, to history. You can tie it into their everyday life. You can do all sorts of writing activities, art activities. And so I enjoy doing it with my students, and I hope that you will enjoy it as well. So I like to start introducing sequencing as something that's familiar to my students. So I'll make an anchor chart. It's going to be something similar to this that shows sequencing, the order in which things are done. And so the first thing I do is put on my PJs. The next thing I do is I brush my teeth. Next thing I read a book. And then in the end, my mom tucks me into bed. So I make a sequencing chart that I put up on the board so that they can see this is what my bedtime routine will look like. And there are some cute little videos out there if you have kids that watch YouTube videos where the kids, they like to make their bedtime routine or their going to school routine. So a lot of the kids are somewhat familiar with making this a routine, something that they do. And it's something that's familiar to them so they can easily put it together. So the next step that I give them is they get one of these, and they're going to cut out the pictures and place them on their desk in the order that they do them because it might be different. Now there's going to be kids that say, well, I don't read a book before bed. And I say, well, you should first. And then if not, that's fine. Just add it in there and we're going to pretend that you do. And so they put them out on their bed, on their desk, and then they come up with sentences for them. And there's no writing at all at first. And I love to start teaching writing without writing. And because a lot of times when you give kids a worksheet and you say, all right, here you go, write, their mind goes blank. They have no idea what to write about. But if you give them pictures, they can talk and talk about them. And so I give them these pictures, they place them on, they get sentences, and it's best if you can do a pair share with a person next to them or their group, and they can tell them about their bedtime routine, and then their partner can do theirs, and they can share each other's thinking so they can hear what somebody else is thinking as well. And then if your students are ready for the next step after that, then they can put this into an actual writing. And I do have that included in my unit, that one that has like the actual lines on it. But I didn't bring that with me today. The next step that I do with them is the writing step. So they would be getting something, another paper like this, something that's familiar to them, which is making lemonade. And these pictures are out of order. So now they're going to put them in order and put, a 1, and they may be in different order. Like they may put this and this differently, and that's okay. So they're going to put a 1, and then on the bottom, if you can see here, there's some lines. So now they're going to start to add some writing and add some wording to their pictures. And once they have finished with that and they've started to become more familiar, then sometimes, depending on their level where they're at, I will give them this sheet where they're picking a new topic to write about. And I usually will give them different ideas depending on the season. If it's Christmas time, maybe how do you wrap a present? Or in the wintertime, how do you make hot chocolate? So they will draw the pictures and then add the writing to it. And it's fun if they get to pick their own topic, because then it's something that they get to kind of take personal with them, and then everyone has something different, and it's not all the kids writing the same thing. The next part of it, all my papers here. So I do have them take that lemonade one, or if they're doing their own topic, and then they put it, so they take it here, this is kind of like their story map, and then this would be their rough draft. So then they add those sequencing words to it. So first I get the lemons and squeeze them. Next I add the lemon and the water. Whoops. Then I add the ice, and in the end I drink my lemonade. And so they have this right in front of them, and they're transferring it over into that writing. So again, this would be that rough draft. Now, if you have a student who is already beyond this stage, then I do recommend not having those first, next, then in the end. And you can give them something like this, where it's still kind of separated, but then it has that where they're not getting that extra help. So after they've done their rough draft, then they're ready for that final draft. And I show them how all of those sentences now become a paragraph, a sequencing paragraph. And when you have this blank one, you can do several different things so they can get a lot of different practice with it. The last thing that I do is, or not the last thing, I'm sorry, the next thing that I do, because this is just the beginning of what I do with sequencing writing, but I wanted to show a couple different activities so it would be something you could get started with right away. But I like to pick a book that either we might read as a whole group, so it'd be a book, like a picture story book, or a book that is on their level. So you could do this in groups, in their reading groups, or this could be independent work if you feel that they're ready for that, or something that you do as a whole class. So I pick a book, and then they would go through the sequencing. In my unit, I do have where there's more squares than just the 4 of them, but I just was bringing this as an example. So you read the story, and then they can sequence that story, and by drawing the pictures, they can even cut the pictures out of different events that happen and place them in order on their desk before then they start to write about it. One of the stories that I do like to do with sequencing, because it just has a natural order to it, there's a lot of stories that do, but this is a fun one that I like to do, is The Little Red Hen. And I took this as a Mother Goose rhyme, and then I illustrated the pictures of it. I made this for my class a few years ago because it's such an easy story for them to read, and they had so much success reading it, and they just loved it. They get, you know, just a smile across their face when they're able to read it with success. But there's also a lot of beginning, middle, second, middle, and then end, if you want to refer to it that way. But they can do first, next, then they can add the, oops, that's the wrong one. They can add the pictures from the story in here and then add the sentences through it. So I show them, you know, at the, oops, that's not the first page, where the hen plants the corn. This is why this goes along with our plant unit that I use, which is another reason why I use this book, because they start doing the sequencing of plants and how they are grown. And then in the end would be that the hen gets the bread. So how does she go from planting that seed to getting the bread? And they can add those pictures in, and then they go through the whole thing again where they do their rough draft on here, and then they write their final draft on that next paper. And so we go through this process, and they're getting that routine down of they do this, then they do this, and that process is a sequence. And I even show them it's a sequence of us going through these events. The next thing, like I said, I do tie it into like a science type unit, whichever unit we are on. I usually do it with our plant unit, because then they do the process of how a plant grows. And I have a little mini book, just like the Little Red Hen one, and it kind of goes through that process with them. So that's all that I have for today. I did want to let you know that this Little Red Hen book is for free on our website. So if you go to the Special Treat Friday website, it is free on there. If you go to TPT, it does cost money on there. It's just free for people for our website. This activity is on TPT. I do have this activity on there, and I'll put a link in the video below for both the Little Red Hen book and for the sequencing activity. The sequencing activity does include the Little Red Hen book, so you don't have to worry about getting that if you get it off of TPT. But it'd be a great activity for you to do next week or in the next couple of weeks because it's simple. It's all laid out for you, and the kids really do enjoy it because they're able to connect with it. And so thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that you have a great weekend. Thank you.